In this video, I'm going to show you how to take an E01 forensic image of a Windows 10 machine and turn it into a virtual machine using VirtualBox. In order to do what I'm doing on this video, you'll need the following tools. I'll leave it to you to download and install them. There are some alternatives to these tools. Certainly the image mounter can be replaced with others such as FTK's Imager. VirtualBox could be replaced with VMware, etc., etc. But these are the tools I've chosen, and they're readily available to you for free. We'll start by launching IMM2 Virtual. Note everything that we launch will be run as administrator because it's necessary for this all to work. Of the tools that you'll use, this one is actually the least necessary because it can be replaced by some manual intervention. In fact, it tells you how to do so right in the box right here. All you have to do is execute these commands at the appropriate time, filling in the appropriate variables. But one of the reasons I do like this tool is it basically follows a script. It tells you what to do from step 0 to step 4, and we'll basically follow this in order for us to get our virtual machine up and running. It does tell you that you need to create an empty VM, and that's what we'll do next. So let's launch VirtualBox as administrator, and we'll create the virtual machine. Click New. I'm going to give it the name PAV. The image I'm going to mount is a forensic image of an HP Pavilion, so this just seemed like a likely name. Type Microsoft Windows. The HP Pavilion in question was running Windows 10 64-bit, so I will choose that as my operating system. Click Next. I've got 32 gigabytes on my forensic console, so I'm going to be able to allocate 8 gigabytes of RAM to the virtual machine. You may not be able to do this, but I would encourage that you give it as much memory as you can for performance reasons. We won't add the hard disk until after it's mounted, so we'll create without a hard disk, and it's just warning us about that, so we'll hit continue. In order for us to continue with launching the virtual machine, we'll now have to mount the hard disk and make a VMDK out of it so that the virtual machine will have something to boot from, and that's the next step. So let's launch the image manager as administrator, and we'll mount my forensic image, which I have stored on a USB hard disk. Unfortunately, of course, being on a USB hard disk, it's going to be rather slow, but it's what I've got. All right, so we'll mount disk image. We'll select the image from the aforementioned USB hard disk and wait for it to mount. All right, in order for this to work in a virtual machine, we're going to have to make the virtual disk writable. Because the image is on a USB hard disk, I'm going to put an alternative differencing file location to be on my local C drive for performance reasons. So I'll put that into a directory I'd created for the purpose. And it's going to go ahead and mount. This error message comes up if you've previously done mountings. So if you haven't, you won't see this. If you have, then I would suggest that you online the disk so that I can mount everything, and then we'll offline it again in a few moments. The image is now mounted. If you open it up, you'll see a bunch of information, including all of the volumes that it's mapped to drive letters, etc. One of the critical pieces of information that you'll see here is the disk device, which in this case is physical drive 2, which you're going to need to know in order to complete the mounting process later on. At this point in time, however, you're done mounting the image, you just need to make it offline so that it's not changeable by the forensic machine while it's being mounted as the virtual machine. In order to do that, you'll run the disk partition utility. To do that, we'll bring up a command prompt, and as usual, run it in administrator mode. Run disk part. List your disks. On my particular setup, I have my C drive, which is disk 0, which is the drive in my laptop, which is mounting NTFS for Windows. Disk 1, which is my external hard disk, which you saw me use to mount the E01 image, and disk 2, which is the now mounted forensic image that we just did with the image mounter. We'll select that disk, and we're going to offline that disk. Now we will create the VMDK out of this mounted volume. Go back to your IMM2 virtual, and we'll get it to run the script. It says type in the disk name. Well, I named it PAV for reasons earlier, and we know the physical drive number was 2 based upon what we saw from the image mounter. So we put in those 2 variables, click step 3 button, and it will create the VMDK for us. There it is. We had a successful installation. We'll now attach that VMDK to the virtual machine. So go back to VirtualBox in the VM that you created for this purpose. Click Settings, Storage, click the hard disk icon so that you can attach the VMDK that you just created. Click Add. You should see it. In this case, we did see PAV. If you can't see it here, then navigate to the folder where it was created. Select that, choose it, and click OK, and now your virtual machine has a virtual disk to boot from. The virtual machine is pretty much ready to go at this point, except of course that this is an EFI bootable system, so if you click Start at this point, it will fail. This is assuming you have a standard BIOS machine, which is not that common anymore, and you'll get this fatal no bootable medium found. To fix that error, close the virtual machine, click Settings, System, and enable EFI. It says it's for special OSs only, but frankly Windows 10 isn't that special. It's become pretty commonplace, so this is what you need to do to fix that problem. While we're here, from a performance perspective, I'm going to add an additional CPU. You may have kit to allow the addition of additional CPUs, and I would recommend that you give the virtual machine a little bit more performance tuning if you can, because it's running off a USB hard disk in this circumstances. It's going to need all the help it can get. Okay, so the virtual machine is ready to start again. Let's see if it goes this time. Click Start. You'll notice it got a little further in the boot process than last time. If you start seeing that little circle, it's probably a good thing, and we'll just watch the virtual machine boot at this point. There you have it, a virtual machine based upon an E01 image running Windows 10. Thank you.